credit comes to us. It's hard to get out of a comfort zone. It's hard to make this guy right there to agree and do something that I'm not sure if I want to do it. And talking about comfort zone, that's what Livia did to me, asking me to talk about this topic because it's something that I really like, something that I really study, the brain itself. But when you mix with religion, when you mix with faith, it's like, you can imagine Google and try to go through like 100 pages. That's what it's all about. It's like a lot of information. So please bear with me. Maybe I go a little over our time. Not like probably by midnight we'd be out of here, so that'll be okay as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about things that science cannot explain, but they still happen. So if they cannot explain and still happen, what's there for us? That's something, right? Something that it's true, cannot be explained by the human science, but is present, which is God, which is faith, which is mind versus the brain. And that is a big difference in between mind and brain, guys. And especially by our spiritist vision, you will see hopefully some information very good. Yeah, I'm not trying to have an outcome that's saying science is right, religion is right. It's just a matter of the intersection that they're getting right now. Like by medieval times, if you say that the world was rounded, you're going to be burned as a witch, as a warlock. And right now, they're converging. They're getting back together. And this is awesome because right now they're proving each other. They are telling that the things that happen really do happen, really work, that have faith helps you to heal faster. Have faith helps you to do a lot of different things. Have a religion in regular basis makes you more happy, and happiness makes you more healthy, and so far and so on. So let's start this journey, shall we? So we normally being like true skeptic. So what is a believer in this context? Believer is the person that has a religion and believes that prayer, faith, believing God have a bigger sense of pertaining to something greater than just themselves, can have a great effect. And the skeptic is the one that proved me. Tell me how that works. So, what science say? All human experience is brain-based. Everything comes through the brain, is processed by the brain. Spiritual experiences, such as premonition of death or near-death experience, often include precognition of future events or remote viewing, which make the experience incomprehensible from the current medical model. Have you heard people telling the doctor where he put his watch or his denture or something like that, and by the time that he was doing that, the person was like declared almost dead? Almost no function in their brain. No, doctor, you did that. You put in that shelf right there. And it was there. But how do you know that? Wow, I saw you. Huh? Yes, I saw you. And by the time we were talking to the nurse about this and that. And when he studies the brain, there was pretty much no activity. So how can he know something if the brain, again, all human experience is brain-based? No, it's not. Because when you have a near-death experience and you come back and you tell something about the experience, how can it be? You're near dead. Your brain doesn't have function. It's not pumping blood to the areas that make it function well, that gives memories, that brings memories and stuff, like a medium. How can a medium come back with memories from something if his brain is not connected or is not pumped with blood, which is the fuel for the brain? So they start asking, do we have God in the brain? That can be an answer. How that thing called God work? We are the only species in the planet to practice religion. There is no nation on earth that does not practice one on another form of spiritual belief. The question is, what makes our brain different so that we practice spirituality? Does religion serve any purpose to our species in terms of benefiting survival and progress? Because so far, what the scientists say is that we have two primary drives: to reproduce and to survive. And until nowadays, we just go for that. So does religion has any purpose with that? Does it work for anything? This is a skeptic vision of the life. So it's just based on what our eyes can see, what our instruments, our fMRIs, our EEGs can prove. This is what the eyes can see, but that doesn't mean that there's more to it, right? Various religions have the potential to influence health in both positive and negative directions. It was noted that religious people in general have a lower risk of anxiety and depression. This in turn is linked to a stronger immune system. A lot of doctors nowadays are telling that if you have faith or if you believe in something powerful that can heal you, they call that the placebo effect. That will happen because you put so much trust on that. Even if it's a sugar pill and you have trust that this will heal you, you will produce inside your body the chemistry, the components needed for to heal yourself. And that's the power of our system. But without this little word, belief, nothing will be triggered. So again, does religion serve any purpose to our species in terms of benefiting survival and progress? Yes, and a lot. Because every time you believe that something's going to happen, it's easier for that to happen. Every time that you believe that you're going to get healed because you have faith, it's easier for you to recover. And that's not Peter telling. This is like a lot of white papers from doctors telling that they did a study with people that didn't believe in anything and people that believe in some kind of religion. And the people that believe, the group that believe in some kind of religion get healed faster with less occurrence of getting sick again. Just because they believe. What is that? What that means? What that triggers in our brain? It should trigger a lot of good things, right? It should prevent us to produce bad chemical. If you're angry all the time with somebody, what do you think that your body produces inside of you? Toxins, right? And if you produce that to a level of... Do you know anybody that's been angry or sad or for like decades with somebody else? And normally it happens in between family, right? I don't forgive this person. And every time I think about him or her, those feelings come back again. Can you imagine how much toxins this person been accumulating in her system, in his system, for 10, 20, 30 years? What is an overdose? It's just that. Keep pumping this kind of chemicals inside your body. Somehow and sometime, you're going to end up with an overdose. And one of your organs are going to fail. And who's the responsible for that? God, right? It's not us. Because we love to point out to my mother-in-law, my sister, my brother, my cousin. It's never me. It's always somebody else. Yeah, but you allow them to create that inside of you. So, yeah, again, sorry, you're still in the loop. Oh, sorry, I didn't translate this one. Oh, if the doctors pray. This is something from André Luiz, from the book Liberation. And he said, all doctors, even when the materialists with an impervious mind to the religion's faith have spiritual friends who help them. Our collaboration of spirits cannot go beyond the receptive field of those who are interested in the healing of others or their readjustment. However, we always do as much for our general health as we can. What they're saying here, what André Luiz is saying here, there will be always good spirits around us. And it doesn't matter if you believe them or not. Because when you are in a risk of losing a person and you are a doctor, you start getting more like tend to believe in something that can help you to help your patient. And that's the time that the spirits come and try to help. How? By trying to suggest some kind of procedure. How? Through your thoughts. Have you ever had a thought that you say, wow, I never thought that again? Or I never thought that in my life? That's the first time that I have this thought. Right? And if it happens, probably it's because it's not yours. It was suggested to you. But we can have this suggestion for good and for bad. And normally, because we don't keep our thoughts in check most of the time, we normally have for lower thoughts, not for enlightened ones. But yes, André Luiz is saying, wow, if the doctors pray before a surgery, they are giving us a big path to help them more effectively than we've been doing so far. And that is reality. That is fact. Why? Because now there is a field called neurotheology. Because there are so many cases, there are so many white papers, there are so many research, there are so many patients that got healed, that got better, that came back. We have Valdo here, guys. He got, right there, this guy got to the ER and he was declared dead. And he's there. Can you pinch yourself and say, I? We need to know if you're real, man. If you're not a 3D holography. 2 years and a half old. And he saw, and he have memories from there. But then the scientists come and say, that is impossible because his brain was dead. Yeah, it is impossible, although he's there telling us that he remembers. There's something wrong here, right? That is this connection. So neurotheology came and started analyzing that. It's a new, unique field of scholarship and investigation that seeks to understand the relations specifically between the brain and theology, and more broadly between the mind and religion. Again, we're going to talk about brain and mind. It's a big difference. Neurotheologians argue that the structure and function of the human brain predispose us to believe in God. Again, we are talking about scientists that just adopt a fancy name. So those are not spiritists. They're still scientists. And they need to understand why this heals us. So they are proposing that there's some structure inside of us that predisposes us to believe in God, period. Not because we believe, not because it's something that is on DNA or something. We need to find where it is. They claim that the site of God's biological substrate is the limbic system, deep within the brain, which has been considered to be the biological center for emotion. Deep inside the limbic system is our pituitary gland, which is essential for a lot of functions of our body. And also, it is the gland that is related, most of all, to the mediumship. So yes, they're going on the right track. They just don't assume the part that they cannot explain. But they are getting closer, right? They are getting to the place that things happen. So, kudos to them. Various religions practice have the potential to influence our health. Again, it doesn't matter if they think that there is a God spot. There is a scientist called Dana Zohar, and she released a book called The God Spot. That is not a spot in our brain that is related to religion, that is related to faith. It's all the brain. It's everywhere. But let's give them this kind of, aha moment to celebrate and say, yeah, we find the God spot. Awesome. We found some other ones, but later on we're going to discuss that with them. Once they open for us to talk about this. But so far, this is a good thing for us. It's a good thing for spiritists because right now they're predisposed, the word is there, to believe that's something that leads us to believe in God. Neurotheologians point changes in functional MRI, scans in areas like hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus, and research subjects engaged in religious meditation. Look at the activity. In a study done with medians, let me check here. I'm going to get a little off the mic. Sorry about that. In a study done for Brazilian medians, Newberg found the activity in the hippocampus, the part of the brain involved in emotions and memory, changes. In the case of expert mediums, the activity decreased. So, as the medium is working, is giving communication, is pouring their body for communication or for sustain a mediumship reunion, his activity of his memory goes down. But how can he deliver information if he doesn't access his memory? How is that possible? It doesn't have access. The MRI, which is the machine that tells me that there is activity in the memory, tells me that the reduction is substantial. He keeps giving communication. From where? If he cannot access his memory. What is the database? What is the data center? Right? Scan of brains of Tibetan Buddhist meditators during meditation and not. The scan on the right, meditation scan, shows decreased activity in the parietal lobe. Lower right shows as a yellow rather than red left image. The parietal lobe gives us a sense of orientation, space, and time. Thus, spaceless and timeless often report in spiritual experiences. Again, how can they know where they've been? How can they know what they did? How can they know what happened if they don't have access to their database, which is, by the scientists, our brain? Where does information come from? For us, spiritists, we're going to say, hey, Peter, you're not telling anything new to me. It comes from the Spirit. Yeah. But right now, what I'm telling is, they are closer to prove something that they were not going to like that much, because they have to go against what? Their comfort zone. No equipment built in planet Earth will tell them where that comes from. They will believe or not. That's the thing. Is God embedded in your genes? And if so, which ones? Again, they keep on trying. They keep on bringing more questions to see if, they're going to find God somewhere in between our DNA. They will, but not in the way that they think. If that is the case, it would mean that people are not only wired to believe in God, but genetically programmed to do so as well. Dean Hammer, PhD, behavior geneticist at National Cancer Institute. They're all around. They're all around the truth. They just cannot validate it. If they cannot validate it, that is not right. So, again, the fear of being burned as a witch still inside of each and every one of us. So you don't want to be the first one to say, yay, believe in God, period. And everybody's going to turn their backs to you. If you guys watch the movie Kardec, when he started preaching about the spirits, the whole society that took him in high standards turned their back to him. So far, our scientists don't want to do that. We don't have too much, brave men to assume that. Spirituality is a real phenomenon that can be described and measured. Spirituality derived from genes is rooted in nature. Religion derived from memes, cultural counterparts, ideas, values, patterns of behavior that are passed from one generation to another, often by imitation. Religion is rooted in nurture. One is rooted in nature, the other one in nurture. What is the difference? Emotions, right? What emotions cause in our body? Chemical reactions, right? If you have a lot of those, it can benefit you or it can cause you harm. It depends on which ones you are choosing to have, right? Are we hardwired for God? What do you think? After all this talk, are we hardwired for God? Meaning that we were born and our brain is just like that, and that's why we believe in God, period. There's something inside our brain, there's some wires that are connected, and that's why we believe in God. The bottom-up explanation for religious belief and spirituality after neurotheologians and neurogeneticists derive from a science that sees our lives as being largely determined by our biological factors. As a materialist, scientists must maintain that believing in God involves some kind of brain wiring. And that's the final frontier. That's what we're hanging right now. They cannot give that up because the next step will be just to believe. Because nothing more can be proved. They need to believe or just stay in that point. Believe that God involves some kind of brain wiring. It's embedded in our genes. It's embedded in our DNA. Otherwise, why do we believe in God? And why God has all this effect on us? Well, we have the spirit, we have the perispirit, and we have the body. So, we have IT people here. We have the database, we have the molding, and we have the computer, right? Pretty much like that. Our spirit is where our experience comes from. The perispirit send the message and interpret and send the message, and the body reacts. The mind's physic apparatus, or psyche, is situated in the perispirit and is responsible for the range of phenomena that crosses the brain its way to the spirit. Each way to the spirit. The mind is here. The brain is here. So, who controls our daily actions? Who controls our emotions? Who controls how we react to things? The brain or the mind? Who generates the thoughts? What is emotion? What is feelings? Emotion is a reaction to something, any kind of stimulus that comes to us. Feelings is what comes after the emotion hits the body. So if that's this gap, that means there's something before our body perceives the emotion. So emotion is created in the mind. It's not created in the body. And emotions are what brings us good or bad chemical substance inside our body. And then we react. And then this guy here works with that. Absorb, get sick, get better, so far and so on. It is not an arbitrary creation of evolution, but a spirit capturing mechanism that has been deliberated, constitute, and serve to its purposes. This is André Luiz, okay? And liberation. It is the basis of all meaningist manifestation, whatever the characteristics in which they are expressed. So everything happens in the mind and then is downloaded to the brain. And then the brain receives it. And even the scientists can tell that before you take any kind of action, your brain already took the decision 10 milliseconds before it hits your conscience. So your subconscious level is huge. Subconscious level, that they said that is related to spirits, right? So everything links together. Everything goes the same way. But right now we're trying to explain in a way that is kind of boring. Right? I know, it's kind of boring, my friend. The mind consciousness will be another essential component of the universe besides the material component. Dr. Alexandre Moreira Almeida, founder of the Spirituality and Research Center. Doctor. Not talking about somebody that came from the spiritual side. He's a doctor, and he studies that as a form of explaining something that most of the doctors don't want to explain. The mind is the consciousness, and it's an essential component of the universe besides the material, meaning that, yeah, the mind is not something that you see or touch. The mind transcends the material, transcends the body. The mind is formed by our thoughts, feelings, and consciousness. Thought is a coercive emanation, obligatory as long as we have the body, whether carnal or perspiritual. How many thoughts we have a day? Any clue? Any clue? 10? 15?
Too many.
One too many. Yeah, it's a good answer. 65,000. This is for men, okay? Women have got a lot more. You have the afterthought. No, being serious, we have 65,000 thoughts. 65,000 thoughts. It's really hard for us to understand that. Guys, our conscious mind can grasp 40 bytes of information every time. We've been invaded by 11 million. 40, 11 million. So what we do with the rest of the information? Our subconscious brain get this information and process this information. And that creates emotions inside of us. And this emotion will create substances inside of us. And then we're going to get sick, or we're going to get happy, or we're going to get courage. You know that a simple act of doing like this that we call Wonder Woman pose for 2 or 3 minutes before a meeting will give you the confidence that you need to deliver every single speech that you want? They put a pen in your mouth like this will make you happy. Because your brain analyzes the muscles that you're moving. When you put a pen, it looks like a smile, right? And it's going to tell, oh, he's smiling, so we must be happy. That's a way to fabricate a feeling, mechanical, in our brain. So the brain is nothing more than a slave. You give information, it will replicate. So the brain doesn't go too much when it comes to choices and understanding of what happens to us. The mind is. And the mind is not touchable. The mind is not tangible. The mind is not physical. And that's where the spirit lives. Eureka! We see the light. It's the raw material and the subtle energy of the universe. Its flow is determined by the creative impulse of the spirit. Its construction is the responsibility of the spirit. That is so important that we should create a way to observe ourselves when we're going up or down. And that's the reason that we reinforce that meditation is absolutely crucial. Because in between the 65,000 thoughts that we have a day, you have to stop. You have to give it a break. And once you see the pictures of a brain in meditation, it means that you just stop the flow of all 65,000 thoughts every time. You just gave it a break. You just change your perspective. We are moved by expectations. Expectations can be real, but most of the time are not. Something that we create. We have to have perspective. Perspective is putting your expectation in check. Meditation helps that a lot. A lot. Their connecting elements and symbols are found in the consciousness and unconscious. The mind does not seem to touch the brain, but juxtapose it by stimulating and influence, as a magnet does when it comes to a metal object susceptible. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, you got it, right? To the range of its field. Susceptible. Thank you. The connection between the spirit and the physical body through the subconnections are the base of the brain. Perceived seers establish animate union between two bodies. This is a book by Adenauer Novaes. We don't have it in English. It calls Psychology of the Spirit. These connections are energetic in nature and rooted in the molecular structure, but not impregnated. So the mind does not touch the brain. The mind is not physical. It juxtaposes the brain. When you say that a spirit is, we have an obsessor, or a spirit is talking through a medium, do you think that the spirit just jump inside of them and start talking like crazy? It just juxtaposed through the first spirit. It just don't come inside. So this thing about get out of this women, it's not in. It's not in. Never was, never will be. It's right on the side.
No possession.
Yeah. It's not, we're not possession. We're still there. But we give space for somebody else to use our physical structure. And that's how it works. So, again, it's the mind. It's not the brain. The brain is just a physical thing. It's just a mechanical thing, although it's impressive. Human consciousness as a limited version of universal consciousness. The Almighty isn't dead. He's an energy field. And your mind is an electromagnetic map to the soul. We're getting there. At least he's talking about the scientist, but he's talking about God. Right? So, God is an energy field, right? He's everywhere. He's a huge field. And your mind is an electromagnetic map to your soul. So, when spirits want to see what's going on with us, will they analyze our brain or our mind? Do we have control to our mind? Sometimes. I wish most of the time, but I cannot promise that, especially with the life that we live. Human consciousness is non-spatial, non-temporal, and not in the brain, but in the pre-space-time. Brain is the interface between human consciousness and the external world. Brain is the interface in between human consciousness and the external world. Quantum spin is the mind pixel.
Very clear.
Wired magazine published an article in 1999 entitled, "This is Your Brain and God." It's already known that the quantum mechanics plays a role in the brain. Since quantum mechanics determines the shapes and the properties of molecules like neurotransmitters and proteins, and these molecules affect how the brain works, from consciousness long-term memories to human brain has some peculiar computing abilities, and they could be explained by quantum fuzziness. So, quantum spin is the pixel. What is a pixel nowadays? If you want to see, have you guys noticed once you go see, you are looking at internet to buy a shoe. Next page that you go on Google, ta-da! The offer for the shoe is there. And then you go to Facebook, and the shoe is there. And you go, this is pixel. This is a pixel. Once you got to that page, the system pixelate your choice, and everywhere we go, the shoe will go with you. Quantum spin is the mind pixel. Magnetic field is a manifestation of the internal world based on the principle of existence. This is the pristine definition that they got so far. So this is really top-notch for them. For the scientists to go to this level so far, it's assumed that they're kind of humble at this point to admit that God exists, although they're still thinking that we are wired to believe in Him. But God exists as an energy. Fantastic. We don't need them more than that, right? At this point. It is a mistake to think that spirit can be achieved mapping the brain and discover all the functions it performs. There is no region in the body where one can limit the spirit or even the perispirit. Facts and facts. Studying the brain is the duty of science, and it must be increasingly known so that all the learning potential of the body can offer to the spirit could be utilized. This is the outcome. We're not against or with, we're getting together. And as we're getting together, we need to embrace them. We need to embrace science. We need to embrace whatever they can offer to explain something that are baffled about it, because it exists, but they cannot prove. So they're confused. But this is awesome, because right now, they're trying. Right now, they're going an extra mile. And it's up to us to keep fomenting this, to keep telling this, go ahead, Keep on doing. Maybe in the future, we're going to have some of the great gadgets that we see on André Luiz Tales. Maybe sometime in the future, we're going to have something. We see it right now, technology showing like virtual images. You can pass some like a scanner in your brain and check the whatever is on your arm. This is fantastic. This we could not think before. So this is connection between the spiritual world and the material world. And they're getting there. And this is the good news. The Holy Spirit is mathematics and is the glue that holds the universe together. Andrew Wilson is a girl that should be dead way before she said that. Studying San Francisco State University, and she defined herself like, I'm the person who had the severe brain bleed and should be brain dead, or at least messed up. And she's not. And she keeps studying, and she keeps doing her regular day. And she came up with this fantastic quote. The Holy Spirit is the mathematics and the glue that holds the universe together. So she put all together, right? Religious and science. Spiritism was the third religion in Brazil, and its therapies have been used for millions worldwide, based on therapeutic resources, praying, laying of hands, fluidotherapy, magnetic water, charity, volunteering, spirit education, moral values, and this obsession, spirit release therapy. The paradigm shift has already occurred. The long-awaited reunion of science and spirit is already occurring. New advances in science, including information theory and functional neurogenesis, have led new understandings which give scientific context for spirituality. All patients, no matter how sophisticated, expect a magical exhibition from their physician. What is a magical exhibition? To get healed. Because most of them, when they got to a surgery table, they think that they lost their hope. But there's always room for faith. And when faith comes and when religion comes, everything changes. Right, Father? And this is not new, right? This is from the 1800s. Unshakable faith is only that which can meet reason face to face in every human epoch. And another thing that he said, if by any chance and any time science prove Spiritism wrong, stick with science. Thank you, my friends.